Hi, you guys. Welcome back to the I Did It First podcast. I'm Riley.
I'm Anna.
And today we are going to be talking about something that has probably been the hardest thing that I have had to navigate in this season of my life. And it's something that I've talked to my mom a lot about and have just asked for her advice and her opinions. And that's what we wanted to bring here today.
Yeah, I mean, it comes up a lot between us. And I think it's because it's an ongoing struggle. It's not something that we all of a sudden discuss, we have a solution to, and boom, it's done. And so because of that, we definitely wanted to talk about that here. And what we're talking about today is friendships, and what I have really learned, and again, this is something you kind of learn by error over and over, is that whether they're good for you or bad for you, I think learning to kind of identify the different types of friendships or friends that you have can really be helpful, just as far as where they belong in your life. You know, when you're all of a sudden 20 and you're working and maybe you're done with school, or maybe you're still in school, you learn very quickly your time is limited.
Very. And
where you want to spend that time. And again, if they're positive or negative, you just figure out, okay, where do I want this person in my life, and where that factors in, especially with your time.
Yes.
And so, you know, that can be even with the not greatest friends, you know, you still make time for them, but you just know when and where.
Yes.
You know, time and place.
And that's something that we talked about in episode 2, tips for your 20s, is just being really patient and intentional in your relationships. And even then we specified that goes farther than just those romantic relationships. Your 20s are really the first time in your life that you are just navigating life by yourself. Yeah. And life is not meant to be done by yourself. So you kind of grip onto people sometimes that are not always the best. So that leaves you feeling very anxious and almost fearful. So you have to be very patient. And I even think of just setting boundaries with people, especially after high school. I had a really core group in high school. And then the second that you can't hang out or act the way that you were when you were 16, you start to feel alienated and just left out. But overall, studies show that friendships last usually a max of 7 years. And that's where you will see those memes that your mom probably sends to your aunt that say, oh, if your friendship has lasted over 7 years, you are bound to be friends for life. I love you, Janine.
There has to be some truth to that, right? I know you two send
each other those memes.
We did.
But friendships that hit that time limit, it often has to do with just outgrowing people and realizing who's really in your corner and learning how to handle the ones who are not. So that is exactly what we are doing today. We're just breaking down and learning how to tell the difference.
Well, and a lot of that, one thing I did want to mention with those friendships is that when you're in grade school and you're in high school, a lot of that time and events, they're orchestrated by your parents, by sports. And so when you're on your own and you're having to negotiate your own schedule and your intentions, as well as those people, you see how different those friendships evolve. So that's where that 7-year mark really kind of makes an impact, because now you're seeing, wow, were a lot of these just by convenience. Like a lot of work friends always end up being just by convenience.
For sure.
You stop working somewhere, guess what? You don't talk to those people anymore.
Yeah. So we have compiled a list of the type of people or quote unquote friends that really are not your friends, and how to just recognize that from the jump and call a duck for a duck and not put a pretty ribbon on it just because you are trying to grip. And I have been so guilty of this, is just I haven't had a ton of girlfriends because it's hard to have girlfriends that aren't going to do you dirty. And one thing that you have taught me is girls that act this way become women that act this way, because I used to be like, oh my gosh, when is it going to end? And my mom's like, no, it doesn't end. They just change, and they're more manipulative, and
they're more of who they already are. And I think we learn, like you learn from me and like your friends learn from their parents. I think that those characteristics that just not that people can't change, but they continue to evolve, and that may be negative or positive. But even with some of these characteristics we talk about, I mean, as negative as some of them can be, you can still find a place for them.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll let you continue, but.
So the first friend is the user friend. And this is the person that is only around when things are going well for you or when they need something, because the second that you are struggling, they're nowhere to be found. Or the second you need help, they ghost you. And they often take without giving.
Right. A lot of take.
Lots of take.
Basically no reciprocity. It's just, I want what you have. I need you to support me. And then the second you need it in return, it's just like, sorry, can't.
But it's also that expectation. Like, no, you
there is
owe
a
it
heavy
to me.
expectation, yes.
And I had a friend throughout high school, and we'll call her Ashley. And all of these friends will have different names just so I don't refer to them as she over and over again. But Ashley and I were super close all throughout high school and up until a little after COVID. And she expected a lot out of me naturally. And that's where it wasn't until later that I also was demanding her to at least meet me halfway. That's where she was like, no, I can't. And I mean, from rowing together, I would go out of my way 10 minutes out, which doesn't seem like a lot if it went both ways.
Right.
But I would go and pick her up, and we had one day that sticks out, and this is really what ended our friendship. It was Memorial Day.
I remember.
Like right after COVID, and I had gotten invited with her to go to someone else's house who was having a party. And this person was like, oh, bring Riley. And our mutual friend Ashley, had not wanted us to meet for the longest time because I think she was insecure of our friendship and maybe that I would have grown closer, which I did grow closer with this other person. Her name's Sophia. I can say her name. But Sophia and I did grow close, and Sophia invited Ashley and I over. But what was really shady is when we woke up after having a sleepover, oh my gosh. What was that? On Memorial Day, she left and she's like, I'm going to go on a boat for 2 hours. And then when I come back, we can go to Sophia's house. Right away, I was like, no one goes on a boat for 2 hours because just loading and unloading and getting everyone on, like, that's not realistic. And you were also 40 minutes away from where we were supposed to, like, it was not going to happen. And she was always late. She was always late. For someone that was using and taking advantage, she was never
just a little bit.
No.
It was
And
horrendous.
I was waiting around all day. It's like 3 p.m. and I'm still waiting to go to Sophia's house. And eventually I just text Sophia, and I've never talked to her. And I was like, hey, I haven't heard from her. She's not really updating me. Do you mind if I just come? And she's like, oh my gosh, yes. And this friend, Ashley, her parents' friends, everyone's calling me, telling me to come pick her up from Long Beach and then drive her to Newport. And I was just like, what are you? No, first of all, you can't dog me and then treat me poorly and then still expect me.
Right.
Like that was the straw on the camel's back for me. And she was just that friend over and over again that would take and take and take. And even when I was working and she wasn't working, she would always expect me to pay for her because I had more money.
That was a constant.
Because I was making more. I was like, you too can get a job.
Yeah.
Like, feel free.
And then when it came time for you to even call, hey, can you pick up lunch? Then it was like, we're not going.
No. Yeah. Fully.
It was that bad all the time.
Fully. And I honestly think too, just at that age, I was a lot more insecure. So I didn't feel like I could speak up because I did love having her around. But at what
that
cost?
situation was different too because the parents weirdly got involved and started calling. I don't know.
It was just
very
really
bizarre.
weird. But actually, funny enough, Sophia and I talked recently, and Sophia is the giver type friend. She's very pure
generous
of heart, very generous, and she hosted to have Ashley's birthday party at her house because Ashley kind of threw like a poor me moment. So Sophia naturally was like, oh my gosh, I will host it.
Yeah.
I will take care of everything. You literally just show up to your birthday. She got food catered, drinks, invited everyone. Ashley showed up like 3 hours late to her own birthday party.
That's
and
crazy.
Did not say thank you. It was just very rude because it was expected. And she just takes...
And that's very much her. I don't think she's, like I said, she's one of those types.
I think I took it personally for a long time, but that is just her character.
Mm-hmm. And so kind of this goes right into a lot of these overlap a little bit.
Yeah,
And so the
of
next
course.
one that I would say is like that fair weather friend that really comes around basically when it's convenient, and again, you know, it's how can it help them? So it's not so much just the using part. It's, you know, I can think of two people in particular, and they would only gravitate to you, especially, oh, are you thriving? Like, and then I'll come around, and then when you're in a lull, you know,
Yes.
professionally. And this was a long time ago when I would do like all the fitness stuff, and then I had connected, you know, when this is back when like Beachbody was really big, and I'd connected with some people, and I remember this person at the time had really become excited about, oh wait, you talked to so and so, you heard from who? And it was like a small community, and it, you know, a lot of that. And again, when I said, I don't know, I think I'm going to back off, and then all of a sudden crickets, I don't hear from her. So it was just when I would get super involved and interact with those people that could serve her, then that would be something that that interested her only at that time. And actually my friend that I had growing up, that she was very much like that. And then unless it was kind of, you know, and keep in mind I was friends with her since I was like 15 years old. And, you know, she ended up moving. She's in Orange County, and she only really wanted to be around when,
I know who you're talking
yeah, when it seemed to serve her and make her look good. That was the other part. So that fair weather part really played a factor. It's like, oh, you know, and then I started working, started doing real estate, and then all of a sudden, you know, I start hearing from her again. And I went, you know what? Yeah, it's not going to work for me, you know?
No.
But it wasn't even a falling out necessarily. I just felt like, God, that behavior makes me really uncomfortable.
And you
I just
outgrew
don't want to
that.
make time for that, you know?
Yeah.
It just wasn't good for me.
The third one, this is one I'm very passionate about. And I know that every person listening can relate, man and woman.
Yes.
This, I need to like unclench my jaw and like pull my shoulders down and out from my ears, because this is the copycat friend, the swagger jacker.
Yeah.
This, I have had
I will lose my shit over this.
Horrible experiences with people like this. But this friend mirrors your styles, your ideas, your social media I mean, literally everything. And
that's like the most passive aggressive one too.
Well, it's just, at first it seems like flattering, but then it just lacks originality, or they're just trying to compete with you, because they also try to do so in a way that's like, oh my God, what? I didn't even know. Like, I have friends that like exactly Elizabeth and I will be like, oh my gosh, what are you wearing? I'm buying that. Like, I'm obsessed.
I'm wearing that
like
tomorrow, just so you know.
Yes. And, and then we just celebrate each other, and we're just like hyping each other up. I have had friends. This is probably the worst case scenario. And I need to read it off of here. That way I don't just go down this crazy rabbit hole for like 30 minutes.
Yes.
Because this, I was like, no way. How are you this calculated and crazy? Like, honestly, props to you, because it takes a lot.
Yeah.
Let me take a breather.
Go.
We'll call her Mary.
Mary.
So, Mary and I were actually close friends around the same time that Ashley and I became close friends.
That's right.
Funny enough, because they did not get along. They actually hated each other. Very much so. Mary, when we were in our 20s, there was this switch. Something had changed, and it happened all because of boys. That's what I had started to notice. Her character and who she was around other people was dependent on whether or not she was trying to impress boys or what. Specifically, there was one boy that I was very close with growing up. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Go ahead.
His name starts with a V.
Okay.
There was one boy that I was very close with growing up who, I mean, time and time again would openly express to me and my friends that he was like in love with me.
Give me 5. Yeah, he would 5 seconds in my ear, and he's like, I just need you to know this about your daughter.
I loved him as a friend.
Yes.
And
it was darling.
I mean, I would like go to the extent of even farting in front of him to like do anything to make myself
keep it platonic.
Something. And he's like, gosh, you amaze
You
me.
even fart cute. You're like,
yeah.
this is not
He's like, there's
working.
nothing you can't do. And I'm like, ew, what?
I mean, I even remember like hearing you in the room once, and weren't really good at this.
I know.
But I even had to yell at Riley. I was like, Riley, quit being so fucking mean.
No, my mom called me out of my room. She's like, I do not give a fuck if you don't like him. Like, you need to stop. You're being so mean. And I'm like,
listen.
okay. But nothing like, oh gosh, but I don't know. And I did really care about him. Like, him and I were really close. But I mean,
he's like,
everyone in my life knew, and his life knew. His mom knew. But that being said, since I was very close with her, she was also one of those people that was aware of this. There was one time that we all went snowboarding. This was about 2 years ago. And she comes up to me and she's like, do you think I can make a move on him? And I was like, girl, no offense, I don't care. Like,
yeah,
you can do whoever you want to do. I've seen you do whoever you want. Like,
yeah.
And I've openly expressed that I'm not interested. So they hooked up when they were drunk, and he told her, I'm only hooking up with you because Riley will not like show me the light of day. Quite literally.
And she still went all in.
And she,
even after that.
Also too, I don't know why he would say that to her, because I'm like,
but I'll give him this. Of course, no girl wants to hear this, but he could not have been, like, there was no reading into anything with him.
No.
He was as clear as the light of day, right?
He was
like,
very clear. And he told her, I mean, even when they'd hang out, he's like, gosh. And he'd say it in front of me too and just be like, I really wish I was hanging out with Riley. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Literally, what are you doing?
Yeah. He even said something when you guys came to my open house. I remember that, and it was so uncomfortable.
I was like, oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
go on.
At this point, Mary started to copy every single thing I was doing. Like, down to what I was wearing, down to what I was posting. I mean, the exact same, like, Insta stories, same text, same font, same
like
songs.
Ridiculous.
And then I'd be like, oh my gosh, haha, I was just there. And she's like, what? Meanwhile, first 17 seconds within a story being posted, Mary was there.
Yeah, like you'd post at the beach. I remember one, and I'm like, she must have face planted running out to get this post so fast. Like, what? Like, it got
I drive
ridiculous.
a 4Runner. She traded in her Range Rover for, why can't I talk today?
You can't talk today.
She traded in her Range Rover for a 4Runner. And then I saw it and I was like, I mean, literally same color. And I saw it. And I was like, wow, oh my gosh. Like, and I was so excited for her because at this point she was still my friend. I was like, bro, now we're twinning, like same car. And she's like, oh my gosh. I didn't even like think about, you didn't think?
You didn't think about it? Like,
all you're doing is thinking. Like, you're being so pick me, or we'd go around boys and then suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, Riley, you're so cool. You can eat a cheeseburger. Like, I'm sorry. You're so... Like,
it was a lot.
She was copying every single thing.
And well, that.
Oh yeah, this
the
next
second
girl
friend
too.
that really comes to mind, because I saw this earlier.
My mom did see this very early.
I think it was like 5 minutes after meeting this girl. I just was like, this is like the worst. Like, she needs to get out of this house. I feel like darkness has come into this home.
But it was also too, I'm going to point out, right after I had stopped being friends with Mary. So I think it's like this new girl came into my life. So that's fear. Yes, I was like gripping onto this new female friendship, like hoping that it would work out. But this is a really funny story. So we had met at a friend's party in San Diego, and we just started talking, and she's like, what's your Instagram? And we had two mutual followers, one being the girl who was hosting the party,
and the guy that cries a lot, right? And
second being the guy that cries a lot. And I was like, how do you know him? And she's like, oh, we dated. And I was like, we dated. And I was like, when were you dating him? Basically, we were dating at the same time. I mean, I wasn't exclusive with this person, but going on dates down to the exact date ideas, where he both took us once to downtown Disney to go return a shirt.
That's so weird.
Just very, very weird.
He just keep him on hand.
I know. I'm like, that's so smart. And then be like, well, we're here.
Well, I got to return something.
But very quickly, she exhibited crazy girl behavior.
Very quickly.
And same thing, started copying the things that I was wearing, and not in a way that's like, oh my gosh, I like, let's twin, like in a way that was just.
It started with those boots. I remember that. And you were like,
know.
no, Mom. And I was like, she showed up in your outfit today. And then she'd act very much like, oh, what? Weird. You have this? And
She was crazy. And
yeah.
then I remember it was actually
Big
2
falling
years
out.
ago, 2 years ago, this weekend, because it was St. Patrick's Day weekend. That's when I graduated from UC San Diego.
Oh my gosh.
I graduated 2 years ago. And I remember I graduated the 15th and the 16th was a Saturday. And that was when everyone was going out to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. And I was like, oh my fucking God. Like, I just graduated college. I'm going to get obliterated. Let's go celebrate. And she's like, yes, like, let's tell everyone we're twins and that we just graduated from UC San Diego. And I was like, bro, what? I was like, no. And I remember that moment. I was like, no, we're not doing that.
We're not like diminishing your like major accomplishment here.
Like, just celebrate me in the way that I celebrate you. See it all. They all kind of tie.
They do intertwine
into each other. And even this next one ties into the copycat friend. So
the one upper is one I feel like I've experienced a lot. And the one upping can either happen when you've had a success or a downfall. That's what's even crazier to me. Like,
I know.
You know, I could be, I used to be anemic many years ago, and I would
not just like severely.
Like severely. I had blood transfusions, iron infusions. And I remember I would play a lot down just because I never wanted to be like, oh, I'm the sick one or whatever. But I'd have a friend and ask me, and I'd tell her, she's like, how'd it go this week? And I'm like, honestly, it was really hard. And I felt really sick. I think I'm getting allergic. And I swear she only asked just so she could one up me, because it was like she was locked and loaded. I'm surprised she didn't interrupt me, because I could tell the answer was just waiting. It was like, oh my God, I know what you're talking about, because I also felt that. Actually, there's an SNL character like that Kristen Wiig plays that I love, and was like, you know, the one she says, my panic attack had a panic attack. It's a panic attack. But and she would just wait just to say, I think actually, now that you mention it, I think I might be anemic, only I'm also nauseous. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, you win. And just every conversation, I just thought, you know, I'm going to entertain this, because sometimes I'm not going to lie. The shit was funny. Like, yeah. I needed to see where it went sometimes. Panic attack. And then there was, same thing I've experienced with the social media posts. I mean, I definitely.
Which, listener, it sounds stupid.
It's very passive aggressive though.
Yes.
So, and I definitely need to get better about posting again. But one of the many things that would happen was, it's the same thing with, we're talking within minutes. Like, I would not post for months, and then within minutes, this person would post almost the exact same thing. And then, of course, I'll be and this is the craziest part. They won't like, they won't comment, nothing. That's what even like drove me crazy, because I'll get on there. I'm like, good for you. Like, way to go. And it's just, again, it's how they all tie in, right? Like, they don't reciprocate, but it's that constant, the one-upping. I mean, I would just see it a lot. And again, with successes, you know, whether it's with work and, hey, I heard something really positive, or, you know, this is back when I worked in hospitality, and I would get a letter, and I was actually just telling you about these letters, and they're like, oh, that's really great. The, regional vice president wrote you a handwritten letter. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh yeah, I got those before his boss started sending you. I'm like, okay, again, you went, like, what? Like, I know. What?
Like, your accomplishments.
They're one of the most fun types. Because you can really play with that one a little bit. But again, do I want to make time for it? I don't necessarily know that I want to do that.
The next one is the energy vampire. And
everyone has those in their lives.
Even now, and it's not necessarily a bad friend. Like, their character isn't horrible, but it's the friend that is always surrounded by drama, and most of their conversations revolve around just the horrible stuff going on in their life, and you just leave those interactions with the energy vampire type of friend feeling emotionally exhausted and drained. And it just seems like that is all there is to that type of person.
Right. And listener, let me just make this abundantly clear. I've heard from numerous people who would hear things about me in life and go, if it wasn't for bad luck, you wouldn't have any at all. So if there's anyone that could thrive at being an energy vampire, it is myself. So
Yes.
I have definitely, when I see this, my tolerance is very low because I'm
My
like,
tolerance
bitch, I
is
can bring
very
it.
low.
You want to, we can out suck each other here, for lack of a better term.
Like, if you're gonna FaceTime me or send a 12-minute voice memo, make me fucking laugh.
Right?
Like,
But these are a lot. Like the person that's
make me
immediately
happy.
like, hey, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to you in forever. How's it going? And they're like, oh, you won't fucking believe the day I've had. And I'm like, whoa, like it's a lot from the jump.
from the jump, or it's always just like, I'm fine.
Or it's the friends that you just.
And it's like, you're allowed to have bad days.
Of course.
And bad moments. And as a good friend, I'm going to be here and help you and listen. And sometimes I'm not always going to even have a response, but even just being able to talk to me and vice versa. Like, I want someone that I can talk to. That is normal. That's like expected out of a healthy friendship.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're only
This is
talking to me about
all
shit
you ever
that's
get.
happening bad in your life, ring-a-ling-a-ling, the common denominator is you.
Yeah, exactly. That's, I mean, this one actually, or the, like I said, you can have them in your life, but it's the friend that you're like, oh, I need to call them back, but I don't have 2.5 hours right now.
Yeah.
So that one's a tough one because it's often people you love too. I should definitely state that. It's family members, it's usually close friends, but it's a
course.
tough one because, they're exhausting as shit. The next one is the humble bragger. Now, I don't know. This can range from, a person who really has a lot to, again, why do I think of a Kristen Wiig character? But
Which character?
it's the same one that's like, she's twirling her hair. I can't think of her name right now, but the friend that maybe has a lot, like maybe just things have always gone their way, or maybe they have, a lot in their life and just can't help but always inch that into every conversation. Like, it's like the constant reminder about who they are or what they have. And it's just obviously wrapped up in a lot of their identity. And it's usually, again, people you love, like you don't carry their way, but they never fail to remind you.
Again, it's very passive. It
Very
doesn't
much
always
so.
come from a place of love. Like, because I do have friends that have more, but they're not
Like
they
this.
don't act like
Right,
it, and
yeah.
they just treat you well because they're also in a position to treat you well.
Right.
And I've also been that friend that's like, I'm never gonna make you feel bad,
No.
But actually, someone that I can think of is someone that I was really close with in 8th grade.
You're right.
And her parents would always offer to take me on these like super extravagant trips. But even in 8th grade, they would like make me feel bad.
Like they were very good at reminding you. And I know who, like,
Yes.
actually I'd forgotten too.
Me too.
And now that you say that, even just, it was like constant digs.
Yes.
But like they were wrapped in a pretty bow.
Yeah.
But it was never ending.
It was never ending.
And whether it was even because they took you on some trips, and even
Uh-huh.
those trips, whether it was, oh, don't worry, we'll take her in our car. We know your car couldn't make, like, it's just the shit. I'm like, okay. And plus we have 7 cars. So I feel like we could just choose any one of them. I'm like, okay, you do that, and they're like, or just even the houses, like,
Or even the stuff. I mean, I was 13 and they would make you feel bad for not letting you
like
just
suddenly
let me
Riley's
go to like
13
Nicaragua
yeah.
with the older brother and her, and you're like, no, I'm not okay with that.
And they're like, well, we have a couple houses there. It's fine. I was like, I don't care if she's staying in multiple homes. Like, should I be worried she's not making 6 figures yet or what? She's 13.
It's just that bragging, but it's interjected in casual conversations.
But
it's
like
very,
there's intention to make you feel bad,
Yes.
but it's very much.
But you don't clock it right away. It's kind of just like a wait, what?
It's so true. Usually it's like you walk away and go, wait,
what just happened?
they just fucking insult me. And I said, thank you. Like, what the hell? So more power to them because they get away with it. But definitely a type that I think is a lot more subtle. But I think everyone has those as well.
The next friend is the eternal victim.
This is all, they tend to also be an energy vampire.
Yes.
I feel.
And this is the person that just never takes accountability. Everything happens to be someone else's fault. They're always wronged. And that is where it's draining because they don't look for solutions. They just want that like pity party.
Always.
That's really what it is. And I had a friend that I was really close with. And as we got older and just having access to do more, she started doing shady shit, for lack of a better word. She was just acting very inappropriate and in a way that was harming herself.
Yeah, it was harming herself and other people.
Yes, and that's why I was like, okay, I care about you. I need you. Like, what do you need? Like, how do you need me to support you to go through what you're going through? Because I don't think this is a reflection of who you are. I just think it's a reflection of what you're experiencing. Mm-hmm. So let's, like, what can we do? And there was like, she never wanted help, and you can't help someone who doesn't want help.
Because that is an identity, right?
Yes.
Like being a victim, it's an identity.
Yeah.
And so you helping actually changes that from, so she can't have that.
And there was always an excuse. She never took accountability, even when it
was a teacher's fault. It was this
parents,
other friend's fault. It was her parents. It was always someone's fault.
A boyfriend. It was, always. And that's, even when she was mean to me, I'm like, hey, I don't love how you treated me. Right. Suddenly it's like, well, you just don't get what I've been. Okay, no offense. Like, everyone has shit that they're going through. If you drown in 3 feet of water versus 20 feet of water, like, you're still drowning.
Yeah.
Like, no one is in any position to try and weigh whose trauma is worse than the next person's.
We all have shit.
Like, we all have shit. Like, be a friend that is reliable and that is understanding of that. And if you're complaining about something, complain in a way that, like, fuck, I don't know what to do. Or I need help. Or, you know what? I just need to talk. Like, I don't even need you to tell me what to do right now. I just need to talk. And sometimes I've experienced just talking about it. That's where you work shit out.
Well, and I think that even talking it out, they don't want to chance you chiming in, though. Mm-hmm. Or possibly offering a solution to any one of the problems that they have. So I think that again, it's about identity, and they just can't have you changing that. So the next one is like, I think this is so relatable. Guys, girls, everyone.
Ending on a strong note.
Is the frenemy. Is the one that maintains that they're your friend to your face. Mm-hmm. But they're not. They're either jealous or resentful, or they honestly secretly hate you. And it's not because of anything you necessarily have done. Mm-hmm. Again, it goes back to like jealousy, or they don't feel good about themselves. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I feel like I've experienced this a bunch.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a friend that, she lived close by, and then we stayed in touch, and I know she has been like this. And then finally, it was one of those things, because now a lot of people can really identify other people in your life can identify the frenemy. So then when I'm having to explain, this is why we don't hang out, everyone's like, oh, really? I don't get it. It seems so nice. I'm like, it's really not nice. I mean, I remember even at your birthday.
I know exactly what you're about to say.
And I had always wanted like hair down to my butt, and it was your birthday. I was like, I'm going to go get hair extensions, even if it's just for a short period. Let's see how this goes. And like in the middle of your party, like everyone's around, she just walks up. She's like, oh my God, your hair. I love it. It's fake, right? Your fake hair. And I'm like, what? Like, how fucking unnecessary. But like, she does it with a smile, like.
And that's the thing, frenemies can be, it's just tricky to identify, because they blend elements of friendship with toxic behavior, and that's where you question, like, and then gaslight yourself a little, like, well, are they, like, what?
I'm like, wait, yeah, because even when I pointed it out to someone else, they're like, oh, I didn't know if that was really mean. I was like, that was definitely mean. I felt like she could have asked that privately, or, and there's the type of frenemy too that, like, again, I think just straight maybe doesn't like themselves. Like, mm-hmm. Like I told you, there's like a mom group, and all of a sudden I just found myself, I was like, I don't really think they're nice to me.
Yeah.
I think they secretly well, not secretly. I think they did talk behind my back. And finally, I was just like, I don't even know why I subject myself to this. Again, it's that fear as you get older about like holding on to friends and stuff. And then you just realize, man, this shit is not good for me. I mean, maybe there's a, like I said, time and place. When the kids are around, when there's an event, sure, cool. But I don't need to like allocate time just to not feel very good here.
The one that I had, this was a crazy friend. And it was like one of the first friends I made in high school. And it was also a friend out of convenience because we were swimming together. We lived super close. And she was the type to gossip behind your back, give you those backhanded compliments, just undermine you, that two-faced behavior. And the second we were around guys, like suddenly she's not really your friend and she's just dogging you. And one thing that sticks out is I was dating someone that I had played water polo with, and it was like one of my first real relationships. Real in the sense that I was old. It wasn't real-ish, like middle school. Yeah. Real-ish. It still was very like young and immature. But I remember we were at a concert and I had like mentioned once that I thought about breaking up with him because I was just like, this is not my person. And one, he lived in San Clemente. Like it wasn't even, we couldn't drive. Like I lived in Huntington. We would see each other when we could, or like, hey, there's a tournament. My mom can drop us off if yours can pick us up.
You want to meet at the mall?
Yeah. And we were at a concert for my birthday, and I remember her being like, you should just break up with him right now. And I was like,
I remember she was so adamant, and I was like, wow,
was like literally
girl
in the middle
power.
Of a concert. But to be fair, I was not invested in that relationship, and that's also why I was like, fuck it, like I'm so over it. And truthfully, that's because I was also falling in love with his best friend, Toothless. So I was like, I have feelings for someone else, so this is fine. I'm just going to break up. And she's like, no, break up with him right now. So then I was like, fuck, dude. Like, I was like, okay. And I did it. And then they literally started dating, like, not even a couple months later.
It was like an hour later.
That's weird.
She's like, should we go hard launch here on Instagram?
I know, and I'm like, okay, work, Frenemy. But she's another one that I've just heard from. Well, it's funny because people will sometimes like report to me and be like, you know what, you were so right in high school. Like she really is this like not so nice person, and like, she's done all these things. I'm like, yeah, hello, I've said this.
That one, I think that
also too, listener, there's no reason to date someone that your friend has ever mentioned is attractive, has ever hooked up with, has ever dated. There are so many guys.
There's so many.
There's no reason. Like, do not be that person.
No.
There's not. You don't want to be that person.
You don't need to swap spit with your friends.
No, your friendships are more important. And obviously, we have noted so many of these signs and things to recognize with the types of bad friends. But there are also really good friends. Good friendships. And
like the cheerleader who, like, no matter what you do, I mean, seriously, you could just decide to change from tennis shoes to high heels one day. And they're like, fuck yes, you did it. Yes,
you're that bitch.
Like, it just, no matter what you've done or how small, it's just is such a praiseworthy kind of person, and it's just like so warm and so awesome.
And I think of Hannah and Elizabeth and people that I'm just closer with right now, like those are, and it does go both ways. It's a two-way street, and because your accomplishments don't diminish your friends' accomplishments, and you celebrating them is not going to take away from you, you know. Like pour into them, they pour into you, and your buckets are overflowing.
I love it. And the friends that no matter how much time goes by,
you just pick up.
You just pick up where you left off.
Those are the best.
Those are the best.
Especially now, because as I've gotten older, I can't hang out every day, like after school the way I was in high school, or just dick around on the weekends. You become that
girl that's like, okay, what is your third Thursday in April?
I'm like the front lady at the dentist office, and she's asking you if you're free at 8 a.m. But one that's like Maddie.
Yeah,
I love Maddie.
And she's far too.
She's far.
I've had to navigate that distance too, and that, you know. But
I mean, you and Janine too.
And then the second it's like not even an hour has gone. No. We probably spent every single minute together in high school. I mean, it wasn't even, it was like my house or her house, but it wasn't apart.
Like
it
literally
was just
attached
like
at the
this.
hip. Yeah.
And, but still, it doesn't matter. Like the second you see each other, it's like, okay. So as I was saying, it's like, 3 months ago.
And those are the best because you also don't put pressure on each other.
No, I love that too. And I mean, it's just genuine.
It is very authentic. It's just so pure.
And not to be cheesy and go back to that 7-year meme. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but that is true. You guys have been friends forever.
I'm just saying.
Studies show.
But,
statistics. You're a statistic.
Yeah, I am a statistic. Usually it's like a less than 1%. But
I know. Usually it's not as good. But there are ways to navigate friendships in your 20s, and it's hard, and I do not have the perfect recipe. I'm still learning. You're still learning.
I'm
that's
still
what
learning.
You tell me, and we're just learning together.
But that's why I said once you kind of see once you figure out what what certain people are in your life, you realize, okay, I can hang with them at a party, or you know what, I'll hit them up over the holidays. So it's like you take that pressure off of like trying to fix every friendship and trying to salvage like whatever's left. And you're like, you know what, I could just do this from afar sometimes.
Yeah.
Or I could, decide to spare yourself and give yourself permission, or to engage how you want. And it's like, oh, I get it now. That's what this gives. And that's all, nothing more, nothing less. I got it.
And you can just cut these people off. I mean, if you feel like you have to explain it, but if physically and mentally your energy can't give them an explanation as to why you're cutting them off,
usually
like you
they
have
know.
to show up for yourself. They do usually know. And the truth is, you're not malicious. You're not wishing them ill intent, hopefully, but you have to move on, and you have to surround yourself with like-minded people who are going to do and treat you how you treat your friends.
Yeah, you're going to outgrow some people. It sucks.
Outgrow some people.
But, it doesn't really mean that you're better. I'm not saying that. You're just doing different shit. Like, it's fine.
It's fine.
So...
But it's hard, and
it's a constant. That's why I said we talk about this a lot. I mean, we just talked about this recently, with someone, and it's a really hard thing to try and figure out because you care, when you get invested and you care.
It's like a breakup.
It is. It is like a breakup. So. And it hurts, and it's hard to figure out, and it's a constant thing to figure out.
So be selective with who you surround yourself with. Your time, your energy, your love that you give is so important, and it is transactional. So just be aware of that.
And just remember to make good choices. And if you can't make good choices,
take pictures.
That's right.
Thank you guys so much for listening to the I Did It First podcast. I'm Riley.
I'm Anna.
And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.